Quick, there's two different kinds of pests primarily. Now, somebody's going to ask me a question in a minute about, they're piercing, sucking pests, and they are the difficult ones to control. Generally, you're going to have to kill those with a contact pesticide. And we're talking about using organic pesticides, not synthetic pesticides. Then there are chewing insects. And those are the ones where you see damaged holes in leaves, edges of leaves, eaten, just, leaves are eaten. Generally, it's not going to be a problem unless it gets to be really bad or they get on like beans themselves. In that case, you're going to use a pesticide that's either going to be a stomach poison or a neurotoxin. And it's going to be something that it's going to be a concentrate, a liquid concentrate. You're going to buy it as a liquid concentrate, dilute it according to the instructions, and spray it like with a 1 gallon pump sprayer. In that case, you're going to saturate your entire plant or plants. And you're going to do it late in the day after honeybees quit foraging. Don't do it in the morning, don't do it in the middle of the day. Do it late in the day. Honeybees quit foraging late in the day and they go home for the night. Because these things are toxic to honeybees, and we all know about the problems honeybees are having. So if you got a piercing, sucking insect, that includes everything from aphids to mites. Those, you're not going to have any luck fixing this up and spraying it on. You're going to have to spray them directly. You've got to contact them. And we'll talk about some options there in just a minute. Okay, the piercing, sucking insect that I can't control. It's the one question. Okay. Squash bugs. Anybody ever have squash bugs? Okay, I can kill squash bugs either by mashing them, and some people with a glove, it's kind of gross. Or some people will put 2 boards in your garden under your squash plants with a little rock or stick between them so they're not quite touching. Squash bugs like to get in dark places between stuff, and you pull that board out and go like that. We'll talk about insecticidal soap here in a minute, which you spray directly. If you spray a squash bug with insecticidal soap, it's very safe. We'll talk about that in a minute. It will kill them in 30 seconds. It's so gratifying to do. To watch them, they turn over, their legs kick, and they're done. And but that's the only pest that I've not been able to control. I mean, to control organically. I can kill it with insecticidal soap, which is very safe. But you got to actually spray the bug. You can't spray the plant; it won't do any good. You got to spray the bug. And sometimes there are too many of them. I mean, they just seem like they just keep coming. You kill 5 or 10, and then there's 50 the next day. So squash bugs, the piercing, sucking insects, also harlequin beetle. Anybody familiar with the harlequin beetle? If you grow cauliflower, broccoli, maybe Brussels sprouts, the cruciferous vegetables, it's a black beetle with orange and red spots and lines on it. And they feed exclusively on the brassicas, basically, the cold crops, cauliflower, broccoli, things like that. They are piercing, sucking insects, and you've got to either spray the bug directly, or, I'm not going to resort to a synthetic pesticide, so we're just not going to do it. So I just have this ongoing battle with squash bugs. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Other methods, insecticides should be used as a last resort, beginning with the least toxic, or try other alternatives like many pests in their eggs can simply be handpicked and squished. Squash, if you have squash, zucchini, pumpkins, you're going to see summer squash, buttercup squash. You're going to see squash bugs in the leaves. Just every time you go to the garden, if you're looking for squash bug eggs, just mash them with your fingers, and those eggs won't hatch. So that's at least one family of squash bugs you haven't got to deal with. You can use row covers. I'll show you some in a minute. Row covers will help for a little while, but if you're using a row cover on a crop to exclude insects getting to it, and when that crop starts flowering like squash, what are you going to do? Take the row cover off, or you get no pollination. So you can use the row cover to buy some time and try to exclude pests from your squash, for example, until they start flowering. You can keep your garden clear of debris. I know I'm not as good as I should be at it, none of us probably are. But if you keep all the dead leaves picked up out from under your plants and keep leaves off the ground and just keep your garden clean under your plants, there's less places for squash bugs and other insects to grow and to hide and to reproduce. But the hotter it gets and the more kind of worn out the garden gets, especially in late July and August, probably none of us are very good at that. But the cleaner you keep your garden, the fewer pests you're going to have. And that's, I'm talking about stuff that's just falling under your plants. You know, dead squash leaves, dead cucumber leaves, whatever. Grow flowering plants in your gardens, lots of flowering plants to attract as many pollinators for one thing, but also to attract beneficial insects. Lots of insects in your garden are eating other insects, or they're pollinating. So you want lots of insects in your garden. You also want lots of birds. And you can provide perches, waterers, feeders. You want lots of birds, particularly meat-eating birds, birds that eat insects, bluebirds, for example, robins. You know, if you see those, sparrows even, if you see those in your garden, it's a good thing. They're hunting for bugs. So let's talk about pesticides real quick. I'm going to ramp it up and try to wind this thing down. The same thing we talked about on fertilizers. If you're going to bring home a prepackaged organic pesticide, look for something with an OMRI label on it. And you can go to Co-op, you can go to Lowe's, you can go to Home Depot, you can go to Martin's. Most everybody has organic pesticides and organic fertilizers. Now, you have to look for it. It's not most of what they have, but it's some of what they have. Always read and follow the instructions. Just because a pesticide is labeled for organic use doesn't mean that it's not dangerous to humans and wildlife. It's still a poison in one form or another. So be careful with it. Most people, I think, that go buy a pesticide and bring it home, probably the only thing they look at on the label is how to mix it. And I don't think anybody looks at anything else. You should always read the B precaution, BEE precaution. There's a precautionary statement now on how to avoid negatively affecting bees. You should always read the environmental hazards. And something people don't think about, we'll come to in a minute, you should read the number of days you need to wait from application to harvest. So a lot of people will go buy it, they mix it, they don't read the label, they spray it that morning, they killed a bunch of honeybees and other stuff, and then the afternoon they're harvesting, and they're eating stuff. You just have to be careful. This is a very good book, Good Bug, Bad Bug. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It's a very concise, easy to use, inexpensive book on identifying and dealing with garden pests. Primarily organically focused. It's a wonderful book. This came out of that book. So there's some different things that you can buy or make. You can buy beneficial essential oils. They're made from like cloves, wintergreen, cinnamon, rosemary. Those are helpful in the garden. A lot of people know about and already use BT, Bacillus thuringiensis. I never you say that quite right. It's a naturally occurring bacterium that kills foliar-feeding insects. So if you've got stuff eating your leaves, and you can mix that up, it's a concentrate, liquid concentrate, spray it on your plants, it dries. Whatever eats that leaf with that on it is going to die. It's not going to kill ladybugs, they're not eating the plants. It's only going to kill and control what's eating your plants. And this BT tends to be specific to certain kinds of organisms, typically caterpillars and worms. And there's different kinds of BT for the kind of plant you're spraying it on. So if you're using BT, make sure it's formulated for what you're spraying it on. Citrus oil is a lot like the beneficial oils. The oil will simply suffocate and the pest, and they're good on like aphids, mites, and things like that. Diatomaceous earth, crushed exoskeletons and microscopic sea organisms. It's basically a powder. Doesn't hurt you. People even use it on animals to control fleas. But if a small pest, soft-bodied pest, crawls across it, it just lacerates its body and it dehydrates. That's available anywhere. That's going to be a powder that you're going to put around the plants. Horticultural oils, again, it suffocates the pest. You're going to spray the pest to kill them. Insecticidal soap, this is a very, very, very safe and very effective spray. It's not something you spray the entire plant with. You spray the bug with it. You spray with aphids, mites, scale, or you chase squash bugs in the garden with it. That's what I do. Again, a soap and oil, something like that, you got to spray the plant. You can't spray your whole garden with it. You just spray when you spray the bug. It's not going to, if you spray your garden with it and the bug crawls across it, no harm. You got to spray the bug. And we're going to talk about how to make insecticidal soap. It's about as safe a pesticide as there is, short of just mashing it with your fingers. Iron phosphate can be bought locally. It's good to control slugs and snails, like in hostas and things. It breaks down the iron and phosphorus, which are things plants need anyway. Kaolin clay is being used. It's a naturally occurring clay. It's a powder form. It's being used in fruit production to try to to make the fruit trees less hospitable to pests. Milky spore, a lot of people are familiar with that. You can apply it to your lawn or to your garden to control grubs. It doesn't harm other forms of soil life. And then neem oil. Neem oil is very, very good. I like that a lot. It's very safe. It's made from the seeds of the tropical neem plant. It does not harm soil life or mammals. And it's effective against a wide range of pests. And it's also a mild fungicide. Neem oil is a fungicide, a miticide, and an insecticide. It's a liquid concentrate. You mix it up in your 1 gallon pump sprayer, and you spray the plants with it. And then you will control plants in that respect, or pest. Pyrethrin is one that's a little bit broader. It's a broad range pesticide. It's probably a bit broader than we really want to use in organic gardening, but it is an organic pesticide. It's made from the flower heads of chrysanthemums, certain species of chrysanthemum. Spinosad is that's become kind of my go-to pesticide. Don't use any of these all the time, because you may wind up with a generation of pests that become immune to it. So don't use the same thing over and over and over. Spinosad is very effective. I figure anything that comes from a Jamaican rum distillery can't be all bad. And it was found in some abandoned Jamaican rum distilleries. It's a naturally occurring bacterium. It's a liquid concentrate. You mix it up in your 1 gallon pump sprayer. Spray your garden with it when your plants are being affected. It dries on the plants, and then pests that eat the leaves with this dried substance on it will die. Again, walking sticks won't harm them. Ladybugs won't harm them. Any predatory insects, it won't harm them. It's just things that are eating your plants. And so when you get right down to it, if you're trying to control a pest in your garden, all you're really concerned about are things that are eating your plants, right?
Right.
So why kill everything? A broad spectrum like 7 dust, for example, or liquid 7, if you look at the list of things it controls, it's almost everything that crawls in your garden is going to be killed. And 7 dust is extremely popular. Lots of people use it for the 7 powder now. Really, all your after things eat your plants. So you want to get a liquid concentrate, you spray on your plants, it dries, pests eat the plants, they die. It doesn't last forever. Don't spray right before a rainstorm, because most of it's going to wash off. It's going to last 2 or 3 days, and then the sun's going to break it down, but it'll last for a while. Okay, homemade insecticidal soap. This you can do yourself, and it's very effective. Again, especially on really any pest, including squash bugs and the harlequin beetle. It's 2 teaspoons of dishwashing soap, not for the dishwashing machine, but the stuff at the sink. And you can actually buy organic dishwashing soap or naturally derived dishwashing soap, like Seventh Generation, for example, or others. 2 teaspoons in 1 gallon of water. And that can be in a gallon pump spray, or you can take that once it's made up. I make up a gallon at a time. You can make it up in smaller increments by just having, you can do 1 teaspoon and half a gallon of water. I just mix up a gallon of it. And then I pour it in, because I'm not spraying large areas with this, because it's contact poison, not a stomach poison. So I'm going to take it from there, put it in like a Windex spray bottle, just a little trigger spray bottle, and then take it to the garden. If I see squash bugs, then I'm after them. And you squirt them, count to 30, and he's dead. It's very gratifying. It's easy to do. It works like a charm. Horticultural oil is used typically on fruit trees, particularly for dormant season spray. That's easy to make. 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 1 teaspoon of dish soap, and 1 gallon of water. And it's real effective during the winter season on dormant fruit trees. And then a good fungicide, if you've got powdery mildew on zinnias, or say squash leaves, cucumber leaves, zucchini leaves, anything that tends to get powdery mildew, 2 tablespoons of baking soda or potassium bicarbonate. Everybody's got baking soda in the kitchen cabinet. And 1 teaspoon of vegetable oil. And just mix that up and spray it on the powdery mildew, and it'll go away. It's a mild, naturally occurring fungicide. So here are your sprayers. One thing you might do, this is what I use for hand spraying insecticidal soap. It's labeled insecticidal soap. And every time I go to the garden, that goes with me. And I'm using it on harmful pests that I see. These other 2, they're labeled, but actually the label's on the back side. some little box you check as far as what's in it. Sometimes people have accidentally had a spray container they use herbicides in, and then it was empty, and they put a pesticide in it and sprayed their garden with it, and there was enough residue in it to kill the first dozen plants they sprayed. So be careful, don't use a container that you use an herbicide in to put insecticide in. Have those completely separate, one for insecticides, one for herbicides, and don't mix them. So some other methods of pest control. Take a gallon milk jug, turn it upside down, cut the bottom out, so it's like a funnel. You know, cut the bottom out, turn it upside down, put a plastic bag on it where the cap was, then go around your plants, tapping them with a wooden spoon, and bugs will fall off and go in there. 1 part canola oil and 1 part soy sauce in a shallow dish placed in the garden will attract some pests, particularly slugs and things. And a shallow dish of beer in your garden will also attract slugs, and also around like hostas, if you grow hostas, it's pretty effective. A shallow dish of beer in your garden might also attract college students. Don't put too much out there. Cordless shop vac. I haven't done this, but I've seen it done on YouTube. A cordless shop vac and put diatomaceous earth we talked about earlier in the collecting bag, and just go around vacuuming your plants. And that's really good for white flies that might come up. You get white fly infestation, and it just sucks them up and just puts them in there with the diatomaceous earth. And then you just dump it and take it away. And then everybody's done this one, probably foil or cardboard rolls from a tissues, from a roll of tissue paper or paper towels, and on the base of individual plants when you plant them. Just helps some of those pests that come along and chew some of your plants off at the ground when they're real little. It can help with that, and that's easy to do. We talked about insect netting. This will buy you some time. Anything that flowers, those have to come off. It's easy to do. These are my raised beds. They're just 6 inches tall. That's all you need. All you're doing is containing organic matter. This is 9-gauge wire. It's fence post bracing wire. You can't in the TSC store. It's not real expensive. It comes in a hoop, so it's already formed and turned into an arc for you. Cut it to the length you need. Put one in here, one in there, and then I got 3 of them, one in each end, one in the middle. And this stuff is actually called a wetting tool that I use. I'll get a good season out of it. You can also buy fabric from, it's hard to find around here, but you can also, from the Seed Catalog Company, you can also order insect netting that lasts longer, that's protected against breaking down in some way. Wetting tool is not. It's going to break down after about a year and a half of use, which just decomposes. But it's real inexpensive. So just stretch that over, cut it to fit, stretch it over your plants, and weight it down with board, rocks, or brick or something. And then you've got temporary exclusion of pests from your garden right there. Bee safety, just real quick, and I'm going to wrap up because I know we're going past our time. I told you I'd do this. Okay. Read the bee precautionary label on any pesticide that you put out of any kind. You can't be careful enough. Again, read the label, please. Apply late in the afternoon. Don't apply anything in the morning, late morning, midday, early afternoon. Wait till late in the day. And otherwise, whatever you spray or put out is going to collect on the flowers themselves. And as the bees foraging for pollen, and he's going to pick up some particles of that pesticide.